Hey, SLC members. Well, we are wrapping up Purpose-Filled Culture. We hope you enjoyed that. We know that culture can sometimes, in some organizations, people really kind of feel like it's a four-letter word. People bring up culture, it's like, oh, they just get that expression on their face, like, oh my gosh, we have to deal with this issue. And so we have been trying really hard this month to give you guys ideas and inspiration on how to create a specific purpose-filled culture. And today, I'm going to go over some of the common issues with culture here, but I did want to just talk about, hopefully you did not miss our guest speaker this month. She talked about why culture was important. So Ashley Reeker did an amazing job in talking about this. She not only has a full-time career, but she is building an amazing culture in her small business with her 3LE team. And so go back and watch that if you didn't catch it. I won't go over all of this, but man, she touched on a lot about why culture was important. It is the heartbeat of your mission and your brand and your identity of everything you do and who you are. Be the example as a leader, getting involved, taking initiative, promoting things that are going on within your organization, and then work-life balance. We talked a lot about that. We've talked a lot about work-life planning and fitting your business into your life, not your life into your business, so that you are making this happen for you and what you want to do. And I love the phrase that she used, negativity goes up and never down. So dwell on that for a little bit, and then consistency is the key. We know with culture that you have to be consistent in everything that you're doing, because it can take years to change a culture or to build a great culture. So hopefully you'll go back and catch that. I just did a quick overview for you, but go and listen to that. It's super inspirational. I love what she had to say. I must have listened to it like 3 times and just trying to pick up on all of those subtle nuances that she was using in talking about culture. So my question for you is, my challenge is, do you have a culture that is tattoo worthy? So I was at a great conference this last week. It was an international conference, and it was so cool. And they had Seth Godin speaking, and he talked about, is your culture tattoo worthy? So what does that mean? Do you believe in it so much? It's who you are, it's your tribe, and it's your way of life, that you would just, get it smack right on your shoulder right there, tattooed on your body, that you're so proud and you want to show it off, and it's really a part of who you are. So my question for you is, are you striving to have a company that is tattoo worthy? And why is that even important, as we look in our culture today? Well, we know engaged employees are 87% less likely to leave an organization, which is super important. We want people to stay. We talk about retaining people all the time, so that we can have their knowledge and their expertise, not spend money on that turning over of all of those employees and how much that costs an organization. We know that they're 18% have higher productivity and 60% have higher quality than disengaged employees. So what does this have to do with culture? Well, your culture kind of helps create or can dissipate this situation for you and your organization. So let's talk about that. So some common issues with culture. So I'm going to go over kind of 3 things that I think are our top common issues with culture. And within those 3 kind of themes are some things we're going to discuss a little bit today. So the right people, getting the right people on the right seat of the bus. We've probably heard that phrase a million times as we talk about culture or retaining employees or hiring and firing, however you want to think about that. But getting the right people on the right seats of the bus of your organization, I cannot impart to you how vital that is. And what does that mean? That means you know your people. You know their skills, you know their talents, you know their giftedness, you know what they want to do, what they want to accomplish, where they want to go in your organization, so that you can move them and shift them in the right directions. Or maybe it is assessing them to see that their skills just aren't right for what their passions are and what they really want to do, but they're certainly right for this seat on the bus. Or maybe it's, I think I have one down here, suck attitudes. So maybe you have a culture where you're allowing some suck attitudes, and then it creates that person being on the wrong seat of the bus, and then you have kind of that cyclical effect going on, especially if you have someone in leadership who's on the wrong seat of the bus. And are you allowing for negative attitudes, or attitudes that just demotivate your entire organization? Self-motivation. I have been reading this great book on why motivating people doesn't work and what actually does. And so I consider myself to be a real encourager and motivator, a teacher and a trainer. It's kind of the stuff I live by. And this book has been really inspirational to me because people must be self-motivated. And I know I have thought at times, if I could just, help them or teach them or train them, and I could get them re-engaged or I can get them re-motivated. And again, I'm not saying give up on those things, but reading this book and looking at how those internal and intrinsic motivations, and then really how to inspire a person based on their intrinsic motivation. So I really encourage you guys to take a deeper look at that if you're really struggling with motivation in your culture, which I know probably a lot of us are, right? Keeping someone motivated and fully engaged at all times can be very difficult in the job market today. Okay, so are they a role model? Do you like them? Are they picking up are you picking up other people's slack? So I think in a great culture, we always have to look at, as we're looking at and evaluating people, are you guys picking up more slack for that person? Are you doing 50, 65, 75% of their job? Or do you have jobs that are overlapping that just don't make sense and you need to make some changes? That can all lead to that culture environment. So I really want you guys to think about that. And then knowledge isn't everything. A lot of times we keep people in our organizations because they have the knowledge and we don't want to lose that certain skill. But I would encourage you to either try to find them the right seat on the bus that fits their personality so that you can keep that knowledge. Or again, remember, it's not everything. You probably can reteach, relearn, or hire for that same level of skill. So again, just thinking about that. And then employees' work passion was another thing I had on here. Performs above standards, is an ambassador for your organization, and stays with the organization. So in thinking about all those things, again, the right people can help you create the right culture. And if you have the wrong people in your organization, any one of these factors that I listed here, if they're not the right people, the right fit for your organization, you are gonna have trouble creating an amazing culture. All right, so let's talk about my point number 2, lag time and accountability. So this is my new favorite phrase. Again, learn this at this great conference I went to, and this book, Becoming a Can-Do Leader, a guide for busy managers. Okay, so I know we're all busy out there. If you are in any type of leadership or you're really doing anything, I know you're busy. I mean, we're all extended half a dozen ways till Sunday. So this is a great book. I've just started reading it, so I don't have all the answers for you today, but I can tell you I've really picked up on this theme of lag time and accountability, and have really been analyzing this as far as culture and the health of a company. So the health of a company or team is based on lag time. Lag time is the average time lag between identifying an issue and discussing a problem. So I was just talking with someone this week, and we were talking a little bit about lag time, and they're like, yeah, I meant to get to it. And I said, well, how long has it been now since you've addressed this really important issue? And she said, well, it's been about 3 weeks. And I said, that is too much lag time. So if you are trying to create a culture of accountability, which is, again, where I see some issues generally happen when we look at the health of a culture in his organization, it really revolves around accountability. And then again, this theme of kind of lag time. It's your ability to have crucial conversations in a timely manner. If you let it go too far, 1, you've lost impact. 2, you've lost time. 2, you've probably lost maybe $1,000. It depends on how large your organization is, but I think they did one study where an average of 3 days at a very large company of lag time of people not addressing issues with those that they need to hold accountable can rate from anywhere to $1,000 to $5,000 in lost productivity time. So again, just something to think about. So the accountability discussion, I know it's really hard, and I know that there are sometimes a lot of good excuses as to why. But I think what the question is are you determining those excuses? What is acceptable, what is not, and then holding people to an accountability system. I also want to put in there, let's get curious, because a lot of times with that accountability discussion is our curiosity. Again, how much do we know that person and what is actually going on with that person? So I want you to think about, where is the gap between, if this person was meeting expectations, right? So they were on a line where here's your expectations, they're meeting them. Sometimes they're like this, sometimes they're not. Or they were really steady with you and then they've got a dip. And what's going on? What's happening in that you may have had this great performing employee who is now dipping, or is kind of up and down all over the place? Like, wow, sometimes they're great and sometimes they're really off. if you can figure that out by getting curious about that person, getting to know that individual, talking to them, figuring it out, where are the issues, where is that gap that we are missing on you being able to meet these expectations? And again, might be a training gap, might be a skills gap, might be a knowledge gap, might be an ability gap or a motivation gap. You know, you cannot solve everything in your culture as you're trying to create it. So think about those things and what you can solve and what you can't solve, but get curious and try to dig and find the answer before you try to come up with a solution to the problem. So get curious in that. Also, let's talk about a little bit more and dig in this a little more deeper. The fact that you are talking does not mean that you are solving the right problem. Again, in that theme of let's get curious, sometimes that you're talking to this person and maybe you're giving them a reprimand, or maybe you're just coaching them and talking to them about different issues and they're nodding and they're agreeing. But again, it might not mean that you're solving the right issue if you haven't gotten to curious to figure out what the deeper issue is that they're not meeting those expectations. You might be confronting the wrong problem if you're consistently discussing the same issue. You're getting increasingly upset and you don't get the outcome you really want. So I was just analyzing this week and thinking about, you know, someone that I was increasingly kind of getting really upset with. And then I'm like, you know what? I need to get curious. So I sat down and I talked with that person to figure out what is going on with this person that I consider them, you know, a performer. I mean, they're a performer in my mind, but somehow something has gone wrong. Something has gotten lost. Is it them? Is it the organization? Is it the job role? Is it, you know, what is it going on with that person? So getting curious. And then I realized maybe we're solving the wrong problem. That really wasn't the problem. And we needed to look at things in a whole different way to help work it out for this person. Again, this person didn't become disengaged and causing an unhealthy culture. Communication, 24/7 society. So, you know, here's kind of the bad thing about our society right now. It is a 24/7 society and people expect to be communicated with all the time at lightning speeds. They want constant feedback. They want touch points. So this can be great for your organization if you're already doing this and you have things set up to be communicating more frequently. But if you haven't, I really want to encourage you as leaders to get together 2 times per week to solve issues. If you're not meeting individually with your direct reports at least 2 times a week to solve issues, solve problems, and get things resolved, please try to start doing that. I think that's a great way to do that. Call people out. You know, I heard a lot of excuses, you know, recently. And so I just was like, you know what? I got to call people out on this. Calling people out so that we can have a healthy culture is okay. Having those hard discussions is okay. Disagreeing with each other is okay. That creates a healthy culture. And so call those people out and shrink that lag time. Whatever you can do in your organization to shrink the lag time between having a hard conversation or addressing that issue is going to be helpful to your overall culture. And then, of course, show up in truth and in love. And again, that's just my personal one there is I'm very a grace and mercy-based person. But I do believe in accountability, but I want to show up in that conversation with that person being fully present in truth and in love because I care about them. I know them. I want them to be successful. I want them to be in this organization. I want them to be doing well. And that is the truth and the love. But I need to be truthful with them on them not meeting the expectations or whatever is going on so that we can fix this problem and, again, get back to having a more healthy culture. All right, my last point here is measuring initiatives. So companies struggle with creating a system to measure employee initiative. And so this can be extremely hard. But what I got to tell you about initiatives is numbers never lie. So, you know, as you're looking at your net operating income or your whatever it is, you know, for your business, whatever your numbers are that you want to hit, numbers never lie. And so as you're looking at that, try to review your initiative based on the point of view of your stakeholders, based on the point of view of the supervisors, sorry. And maybe create some amazing assessments that revolve around numbers never lie and how you were holding people accountable for that. Problem solving, decision making, drive, passion, energy, learning, teaching, mentoring, holding others accountable, tough conversations, confidence, likable, professional. These are all things that you're taking a look at as you're looking at that person who's a great fit for your culture. And again, you can add in whatever else you want in there as far as looking at how are you guys measuring initiative. But pick a goal, set the desired needed achievement, choose a measure, and then implement the initiative and review. And so again, having accurate and systematic measures, that it's not about the person, right? It's not about the likability of the person. Someone told me this week, they said, well, I really like this person. And I'm like, yes, they are super likable. But at the end of the day, they're not hitting their numbers, and we have to think about our stakeholders. And so what are we going to do about that? Let's get curious. Let's try to solve the issue, and let's try to create an amazing culture, an amazing environment where people want to work. This person has purpose and that they are driven with our company for our goals and our vision and our standards that we are trying to achieve. And so, and thinking about all of that. So those are just some, things I want you guys to think about as you are dealing with, how do I try to create a purpose-filled culture? It's going to go with finding the right people and getting the right people on the right seat of the bus, cutting down that lag time between an issue and a conversation, and actually holding people accountable, and then measuring your initiatives. What are your visions? What are your goals? What are your standards that you have for your organization, and how are you creating initiatives that you can measure around them? So here is also a great point to remember about culture. It's a journey. So nothing happens overnight. I think I got this quote again from Seth that said, innovation is failing over and over again until you figure out what works. There's so many great things out there in the market right now on culture and how to have a great culture and leadership and so many different things. So I think it's just really finding the right one that fits for you, or creating your own to get that tattoo-worthy situation going on. And what do you want to do, and what do you want to have, and what do you believe? And what do you want to make happen as that CEO of your company, whether that be a small business or, again, you're the CEO of your department? What does that look like for you? So I had someone say to me recently also, we were having a great conversation on culture, and they said, I just don't really think I fit in this culture because my standards seem to be different. And I said, but it is our culture. That is the standard that is set for the culture of our organization, for what we want to have. So you trying to meet those, or you doing that, is great. That's what everybody wants you to be doing. Don't try to meet the mediocre minimum. Strive for excellence and keep trying to hit that, because that is where our culture, wants you to be overall. Don't be discouraged just because you see other people around you maybe not doing that exactly. If whatever you're in charge of, whether that be yourself or your team, strive for that and those goals that you are trying to hit and what you're trying to do. So also remember, surround your people who don't expect you to build this culture for them. You want people who want to join you on this journey. A lot of times people filter out and say, oh, we're going to give the culture to this group, or we're going to give the culture to that group, and they put that kind of burden and responsibility of it on them. And I say the burden and responsibility is on every single employee, but especially on the leaders who are in charge of those micro cultures, fitting in with that macro culture also. And then don't compromise your vision and expectations. A lot of times we start to compromise our vision and expectation, and then we start to see, wow, my culture is not what I want it to be. I want people to strive for excellence, but I'm accepting mediocrity. Is that okay? Is that what you want? So maybe you need to either change your culture, or again, start helping people raise to that level that you want. You don't have the power to motivate anyone. You can only create the conditions to aid people in motivating themselves. Again, I got that from that book. This is probably going to be my new theme for my life, that I don't actually have the power to motivate anyone, but I do have the power to create conditions to aid people in motivating themselves. And man, that is really one thing I know I am focusing on, again, because that's my personality. So you kind of figure out what it is for yourself. And I'm a motivator and encourager. So I'm always like, I can motivate them. I can, and so this is going to be my new mantra for the year is, you don't have the power to motivate anyone, but you can create conditions to aid people in motivating themselves. So I can create a culture, I can create purpose and help people motivate, themselves. And then who wants to come? Again, find the people who want to come on this journey with you. Don't get the negative people around you, because it's too hard. It is too hard to create an amazing, healthy culture when you're filled with like negativity and people who are always, you know, it's never good enough, or, you know, you feel like you have a success, but they're still just like, well, negative, 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 negative Nellies, you know? So again, find the people who want to come on this journey with you for whatever you're building in your culture, and make that happen. So I hope that you have really enjoyed our purpose-filled culture month. It's been fun for us to do. Culture is extremely difficult to deal with, whether on a large scale or even on a small scale. You could have 5 people in your organization, and culture is still hard because, you know, we all come from different backgrounds. We all come with our own biases into a meeting. We all come with our own perceptions and expectations and things we want to do into the workforce, into any job. And so creating a culture can be extremely difficult when you're dealing with 1,000 people's ideas on that. And so I just want to encourage you to get started, to do something. Don't not do anything. You know, you can't just let it go either. And so I want to encourage you guys, as you continue this journey with creating your own purpose-filled culture, whatever that looks like, that you just spend time thinking about what it is you want, the people that you want on this journey with you, getting the right people in the right seat of the bus, taking down that lag time, and then creating effective measures so that you know if you're actually attaining the culture that you want to attain. So I hope you guys have a great week, that you've enjoyed this month and enjoying this training. Next month, we are going to be talking about the entrepreneurial spirit. So I am super excited. We are actually going to do an interview with a local business who kind of changed their whole life to start a new venture with the entrepreneurial spirit. So I myself don't have much of an entrepreneurial spirit, but I'm grasping onto it and getting it. So I hope you enjoy next month as we delve into that, but we will talk to you all in our next vlog. Have a great week.